All right, let's do this. So we see in front of us, let me actually move my, oh, no, hold on. Let me resize this thing so that we get as much of it on the screen as possible, please. That looks good. Put that there. Yeah. All right, that'll do. Let me drag my face down here. We don't need. That'll do. Okay, so now we are ready. Thank you very much for that. We have here is lesson 5. It's on variables. It's section 8. You can see that right up here. We have this as our instructions. The instructions say to debug naming variables. This program has multiple errors caused by bad label names. A bad label is a bad variable name as well. So the errors prevent the program from being viewed in block mode, so the code is in text. And as we can see down here, this is text code. There's a show blocks button right here. If we click the show blocks, we actually get a little warning. It cannot be viewed. You need to correct an error in your program before it can be shown as blocks. Okay, so it's good to know. So do this. Try to figure out what problems with the variable names are causing the errors. Correct the errors by picking new names, and if your program works, it should draw the image on the right. So we're looking for a kind of red circle. Hint, click the arrow to see a few rules. So we can click that details section right there. Labels can't have spaces, or variable names can't have spaces. Labels or variable names can't start with a number, and capitalization and spelling must be exactly the same. And those 3 things are very common throughout all of the languages, coding languages that I've used. And so we've also got a helps and tips down here. If we wanted to go through, there's a section on introduction to variables, a video, some naming variables and stuff. But I think right now we're good just to kind of start here. Now we also see these four red dots and 1 red line. That means that when we hit the run button, right? So if we hit the run button, that's where the red line shows up. If we reset that, we still have these red dots right here, and these red dots are telling us that on those specific lines there's some errors, and those errors will probably be something along the lines of this. So if we read it, it says it's missing a semicolon before the statement. Of hasn't been declared yet, circle hasn't been declared yet, and size is defined, but it's not called in your program. And that's because, again, right here, right, variable names or label names, cannot have spaces, and so we have to get rid of our spaces here. And if we smush all of that together, that works, but it's hard to read now, right? Size of circle. For us humans, it might be more convenient to have what's called camel case. So we start with a lowercase letter for the first word, that's size, and then we see there's a capital O, that's of, and a capital C for circle. And by doing the camel case, we can say, okay, well that's, multiple words. We're going to read it out loud as multiple words, but it's all the same thing, and so the computer's going to be happy with it. And so now we have a yellow. Our red went to yellow, and our yellow is just saying this is a kind of a warning. It's not an error. The program will still run, but it's saying that size of circle is defined, but it's not called in your program. And that's because down here on line 6, we changed this variable name to size of circle, all 1 word, right? Capital O, capital C. But down here, it's still multiple variables, right? It's still got the spaces. So we can fix that now. So let's go ahead and fix that now because it was brought to our attention. So that's size of capital O, capital C circle. Size of capital O, capital C circle. And as we do that, we actually see, if we run this, reset it, size of circle over here is being used down here as well. We still have that warning here. It's not being called in our program. That's because we have other errors that are breaking the program from getting there. So we're going to work our way down here. The red, our var 1 dimension equals 100. Now see, labels cannot start with a number. Variable names just can't start with a number, a digit, right, in the first. So we actually, let's look at what this variable is doing and where we're using it right now, right? So this variable is coming first for this ellipse, right? And if we look at the ellipse over here, this is looking for the x, the y, the width, and the height, right? So this 1 dimension is being used in the x spot. And variable names should be what they are, right? If you're going to have a variable that's going to hold your x value, or just call it what it is, x, right? I mean, they did something like that down here with y location. I'm okay with the y location notation. So let's go ahead. Ooh, that was a fun little sentence. Y location notation. So let's have x and then location. And now, again, we've got these errors here. It says that it's defined but not called. And now the error that was here isn't here anymore. We just have a warning, y is defined but not called. So we just changed this one dimension to x location. So let's change that to x capital L location. And then right here, we have a capital Y location and a lowercase y location. So let's change that to a lowercase y location. And now all of our little red errors are gone, and all of our yellow warning are gone as well. We've got our x location, our y location, our size of circle being used for the width, and the size of circle being used for the height. And if we click in here or select this, we can actually see as we select this, it comes and it kind of highlights that x location variable up top. If we do the same thing for size of circle, it kind of highlights all of the size of circles that we're seeing. Excuse me, that's just a nifty cool thing that happens here. We can also check to see if we can show the blocks now. And if we click that show blocks, it goes back into the block form because there's nothing sort of grammatically wrong with these sections of code. And so we can go to the show text, and we can hit the run button, and we have our little red circle there. And so that is what we're trying to do here. Sometimes we run into a situation where we've got some variable names or some label names that are just incorrect, right? We can't have spaces. We can't start with them with a digit or a number, and the spelling and capitalization has to be the same. So remember that Y capital and lowercase, right? So that is hopefully that'll help you, and thanks for asking the question, and have a great day.